Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is FireMage, and welcome to Rimworld Ascension, Take 2, Episode 0. This episode is the, for lack of a better term, nerd episode. We're going to be going over some of the mods, the rules, and of course the setup for the colony. The world, factions, ideology, all that fun, boring stuff that is important, but not that entertaining. So let's start off by going over the rules. So, Rule 1, as I established in the previous attempt at this, I am not allowed to reload the game, meaning that if I make a mistake, I am stuck with it. Now, I'm not playing in commitment mode because of all the mods I'm using. If something breaks, being able to go back to fix a broken mod is okay, but if, say, my base gets raided and everyone dies, that's that. Game's over. Gotta start over again. Rule 2 is going to be a little bit different than the previous Rule 2. Originally, the idea for the series was that I would not be allowed to use guns until I researched them, but due to extenuous circumstances previously, I didn't really end up sticking with it. So the new idea for Rule 2 is weapons are limited both to the tech level of the colony, but also to the faction that colonists come from. So, for instance, if they come from an industrial faction and we are a medieval faction, that colonist alone can use industrial grade firearms and weaponry. So, we will be trying to stay relatively consistent with that. Rule 3 is the losing is fun difficulty Randy Random. That's not really a rule, that's more of a setting, but I figured I'd include it here. I like it. It was fun last time. Really gave me a good challenge, I'd say. And I think it also just made everything way more entertaining, so we'll be sticking with that. I will not be using the new Anomaly DLC. Like I just said, I was barely able to keep up with Randy Random on Losing Is Fun. Anomaly is just a whole nother level of difficulty from what I've seen. Like, look at this. I mean, I don't think I could handle any of this. Like, this is terrifying. I will not be doing the Anomaly DLC. I don't think it would fit well with the series, and I honestly don't think I could handle it. Now, as for the mods, as you can see, I have them all nice and neatly organized here. Now, I could spend a couple hours going over what each and every mod does, but that would be really boring and time-consuming. So instead, we're only going to go over the ones here in the REWORKS category. So, what is REWORKS? REWORKS are things that change up the way the base game works on a fundamental level. So, let's go over them. So, the first rework we will be going over is the Vanilla Vehicles Expanded Upgrades, Vanilla Vehicles Expanded, and their dependency vehicle framework. So, it's pretty self-explanatory. It adds vehicles to the game, which are just cool. We didn't really get to see them last time because we had only just gotten into the industrial era, but this adds things like motorcycles, cars, trucks, tanks, aircraft, boats. So it does change the base game a lot, though, because now that you can do mechanized warfare, it makes things way different. Now, unfortunately, the enemy is unable to use them as far as I have found, so we will have a slight advantage, but given that we're constantly overwhelmed, I think that's perfectly fine. And the next one, and this is one that I personally quite enjoy, is Fluffy Breakdowns. Now, Fluffy Breakdowns changes the way machines break in the game. So in the base game, for those of you who have only played vanilla Rimworld, when a machine will just randomly decide to stop working and needs components to repair. Fluffy Breakdowns instead changes it so that they have a maintenance bar. So you just have to do maintenance and you don't have to spend components. Don't do maintenance long enough, the machine breaks and needs the components replaced as is in the base game. Next up is the big combat mod, Yayo's Combat 3. Yayo's Combat 3 is a combat rework, as it states, but it's not as extensive as Combat Extended, which is the most comprehensive rework of combat in Rimworld. So Yayo's Combat 3 changes how armor works, so it's a bit more realistic, makes it so guns need ammunition, reworks how aiming works to be a bit more realistic, and just a few other little things it changes. Primitive weapons need primitive ammo, industrial weapons need industrial ammo, spacer weapons need spacer ammo, and, flamethrowers need explosive ammunition. Basic stuff like that. So it's easy to understand, just changes how combat works. I think it's a good mod. Next mod is Realistic Rooms Rewritten. What does this mod do? I think that the base game room sizes are frankly ridiculous. To have a decently sized living space, you need so much floor space, which is ridiculous. So this one, as you can see on this very convenient chart provided by the mod creator, it tells you exactly what it does. Very nice, very simple, just changes the way room sizes work, so you don't have to have a massive base because everyone needs a gigantic bedroom. Okay, next up. Now this is one that I added kinda last minute to the mod list. It was actually the most recent mod I added in while I was working on it just recently. And it is Stranger Danger Continued. Now this mod makes it so you don't know what a raider's skills are. Why did I do this? Well, because it's realistic. You just captured someone, you wouldn't know what their traits, their skills, you wouldn't know what any of that is. So this mod basically just makes it so that you kind of have to rescue all the people who fall down in order to see what they do. I just think it'll add a little extra challenge to make up for, some of the other mods. Let's see, next up is Childhood Backstories. This one, basically what it does is it adds new backstories for children who grow up in the colony. We didn't really get to see that last time. I seem to just have bad luck with having people make babies in this game. I hardly ever see it. It's just my luck. But it basically, instead of in the base game, a child just gets the colony child backstory, this one will instead give them backstories relevant to what happened, at least from what I understand. And if we ever do get to have children in the colony who are born and raised in the colony, we'll actually get some cool, unique backstories for them, which I think would be pretty nifty. And now, Ignorance is Bliss. Now, this mod, I thought it was working last time. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm hoping it does work properly. This one, all it is supposed to do is prevent you from being attacked by people who are too far above your tech level. And Dub's Bad Hygiene. Now, this is one that we most certainly were using, and I honestly kept forgetting existed, despite it being one of the largest rework mods in the game that I have. This one basically just makes it so your people need bathrooms. They like to be clean, they like to have a nice area to go to the toilet. It just makes it so you have to build those things. Adds a little extra realism while also allowing you to have just generally some cool new buildings. Now, walls are solid. Now, this mod basically just makes it so walls don't constantly implode on themselves the moment they take damage. It's a bit overpowered, but unlike a lot of these mods, which affect primarily me, this one affects everyone. So both our walls and the enemies are made to be more durable, although they can still be broken. You shoot a wall enough, it doesn't matter what you're using, it's gonna break eventually. Now, Dub's Break mod, yes, another Dub's mod. I quite enjoy many of his creations. Dub's Break mod reworks the way mental breakdowns happen. It makes it so that your pawn basically won't go on a murderous rampage because they ate without a table, despite a table being 2 feet away from them. Tech Advancing is a quite fun mod. It basically is the one that kind of started this whole thing. It allows us to scale the technology levels. Now, in the base game, if you choose the Neolithic start, your faction tech level will always be Neolithic no matter how far you research. This mod allows you to advance that. Now, Hospitality. Now, this is one I usually actually forget about. Hospitality basically allows you to, well, be hospitable. It allows you to have visitors come to your faction base and pay you to sleep there. Essentially, you can become a hotel. And if you're nice enough to them, they might just decide to join your faction. Now, RimNauts. Again, didn't really get a chance to use this mod because it's more of a late industrial age thing. Basically, it just allows us to go to space. It allows us to go mine asteroids, go to the moon, build space stations. Generally, it's just a cool little thing for us to do on our way to building our spaceship to leave the planet, which is the end goal of the series. Now, Giddy-Up is the mod that allows you to ride animals. That's pretty much all it does. Basically, it just is a way for our Neolithic medieval people to be able to move around a bit faster, have our caravans move better, and just generally is realistic. I don't know why in the base game you can't ride a horse, but now you can, among other critters. And those are the reworks. Now, again, putting the mod list back up here, as you can see, there are many mods. These ones were just the ones I considered to be the biggest reworks and the most important out of all the mods. But there are many more that do change the way the game works in some way or another. If you have the time, I recommend you go check out all the mods, go check out their creators. They're all great mods. I love them all dearly, and I think they make the game more fun. Now we finally get into the fun of the game. Now we get to make our world and make our colonists. Now you'll notice on the mod list I also didn't have prepare carefully. I decided let's make it a little bit more interesting, and we will see what I mean by that when we get to making our colonist selection. And with that, let's now get into the world creation. And here we are, the Create World screen. Now, I didn't show you, but the start I picked was the Lost Tribe start. It's the base game start. So that's all you need to know. Start with 5 tribal. Same as last time. Although, for those of you who only joined us midway through the series, you didn't actually get to see our original colonists because they all died in, like, the first 5 episodes, I think. I can't even remember. It was so long ago. Now, on this screen, we get to choose our globe coverage and our seed. And here are all the factions. As you can see, there are quite a few. I will not be touching any of these factions. They will all stay the same. The only thing I'm changing is the population. We're going to crank it up by 1 notch. And the globe coverage, which will be 100%. Which you won't get to see it, but it's going to take a while for the world to actually generate. As for the seed, we will be using cockroach. Quite fitting. So cockroach is going to be our seed. Globe coverage 100, population up by 1 tick, everything else is staying the exact same. And here we are, our beautiful planet that our tribals will spawn on. There's the asteroid belt, there's the moon, all that fun stuff. As you can see, there are many, wow, there's a lot of people. And it looks like there's actually almost exactly 2 continents, although they are connected by a land bridge up here. So that's pretty interesting. Now, where do we want to start? Well, I don't know. Because I don't want to know where we start. I'm going to hit the select randomize button a few times, and we're just going to see where we land. Sticking with the theme of random chaos. Well, looks like we will be starting here. Where is here? Looks like we're about near the equator. We have nobody near us, which is going to be a pain for trading. No nearby pollution. Looks like our average temperature is going to be 64.8 degrees Fahrenheit. Pretty nice temperature. We get slate, limestone, and sandstone. Literally all the stones I don't care for. It's not granite or marble. That is annoying. We have, it is flat. That's going to be fun. And is a huge river, which means the majority of our map will be taken up by a giant river. That will be interesting. So, this is where we start. I don't get a choice until we move. But I'm going to try to avoid doing that. So, we are stuck with this. And now for the ideology. Believe it or not, I made an ideology for the last attempt, but I died so fast, I didn't get it. Ranchism was not the one I created. That was just one of the randomly generated ones, and I just had to stick with it. So, here's what we're going to do. Fluid ideology, because we want it to evolve with us. And now we hit next. And now we get to pick our structure. Now, we're tribals right now, so let's see. What fits tribals? I feel like tribals would probably be animist. Yeah, we'll go with animist. Now, obviously, I could pick any of them, but we do want some roleplay potential here, so being corporate origin but Neolithic tribals wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense, so we're going to go with animist. Simple, easy, efficient. And now we get to pick our starting meme out of all of these. There are many that I enjoy, but which one shall we pick? I'm almost tempted to pick Rancher just for the joke. We were Ranchers last time, it'd be really funny to pick it again this time, but I don't think that's what I'm gonna go with. Instead, I think we're gonna go with a low impact one, meaning it'll be one of these options here. And out of them, I feel like we will go with Collectivist. Everyone works together so that we don't all die. I also am mainly picking it for the work drive tripled ability. Just generally a great ability to have, especially early game, especially when you're starting with literally nothing. Use that on a researcher and get your research done 3 times quicker. Love doing that. So we will be collectivists. And now we are on this screen where we get to pick all sorts of fun stuff, as well as see what everyone else believes in. But we won't do that because I want to be surprised. So, what do we have? A whole lot of stuff that's not the best. So, first of all, let's randomize our symbol. See what we get. I want something nice. You know what? We'll go with Unified Commune. I do like that symbol. That's a nice one. Not too fond of the color. Let's go with red. Perfect. As for this, I'm not too picky about the narrative. It doesn't actually affect anything in the game, so we'll just leave it as this. Feel free to pause the video and read it if you want, but it's not going to matter too terribly much. It will most likely change over the course of the game. Now, the precepts. This is where the fun really begins. So first of all, child labor encouraged? No. We won't be against child labor, but I definitely don't want to have our colonists encourage it. So, we just won't do that. Now, drug use prohibited. We will set it to medical only. If we have it set to this, it basically means that if we use like any sort of drug to try to help our people, they will be horribly depressed, as you can see in the mood options. It even affects the people who administer it, so we just aren't going to do that. Medical only. No social drugs, only medical. As for all the other stuff, Most of this will not be changed. Work drive tripled is required by our ideology, so we won't be able to touch that. So we'll leave most of these untouched, despite the fact that you can set some of these to be very powerful. Like you could set research to be very fast, and now suddenly you're knocking research out like crazy. So we won't be touching most of these. They change things a little bit too much for my liking. Looking at this, yeah, so slavery, we do accept it. Unlike previously, where we demanded slavery, this is more, it's just like an okay thing. We don't really care too much about it. So that'll be good for the prisoners we get who are useless. We can enslave them, sell them off, easy peasy. Now, as for the roles, we have the Grand Chief and the the Unified Shaman. And we don't get any other ones because we are very boring and basic. Now, one thing I will do is I will edit the required apparel. Seeing as we are tribal, we kind of need things that fit that. So our Grand Chief will get a tribal headdress, and our Unified Shaman will get a war mask. Sure, why not? Alright, so we're not going to worry about this warning. That'll come up in a few minutes as to what we need to change to fix that. But now we get to the rituals. Now, rituals are very, very powerful. So we can add, I believe it is up to 6 rituals, but we won't do that. We won't just stack up on rituals and abuse that mechanic. But what we will absolutely do is edit what each of these do. So the collective party can be done anytime, and our additional reward currently is set to nearby faction goodwill. To be fair, we don't really have a whole lot of nearby factions, so instead we will go with random recruit for that one. And the drum party is scheduled, also a random recruit. I feel like that one would be more of a recharge psi focus. My reasoning for this, for those of you who care for reasoning, is the collective party is a Sky Lantern festival. It sends up little Sky Lanterns, so people might see it and want to come see what the fuss is all about. So it makes sense that somebody might come and join us. The drum party, on the other hand, while it is likely quite loud, wouldn't really be loud enough to attract people unless they were already close. But I do feel like it would recharge the psi focus of everyone who participates. Now, it is set for the 9th of August. I feel like it would be more interesting to have it set to the 1st, so we will instead have it set to the 1st of April, to celebrate the beginning of the new year, essentially. Also because I feel like we need to have some sort of reward for surviving every year. It is crazy to survive the winter in this game, I swear. And we will call it, we'll just leave the name the same, Unified Advent, Collective Party, Solidarity, Eulogy. I don't really care about the names, we can change them later if we want to. Now for the buildings. I think we will stick with the Neil Pillows, because, again, we're tribal, we wouldn't really know how to build a pew yet. As for the building, symbol of family, that is okay, I suppose. And we will go with this one. And our building is apparently a solidarity image. Very interesting. And for our relics, we have the Unity Heirloom. Very creative naming structure. It is a heavy shield. The Anishure, which is an Eltec staff, which will be very cool because that can be used by a psychic to do cool things. And a Persona Zeus hammer named Chloe. That's a bit weird, but okay. Basically, as this says, it is a gigantic hammer embedded with an EMP capacitor, which will activate upon slamming somebody with a giant hammer. And it has a little AI inside of it. So, I actually quite enjoy these. Because we can give the Anishure to our leader, who is going to be our best psychic, because of course they are. We can give Chloe to our best warrior, or the Unified Shaman. either one. And this one is kind of useless, so it'll just always sit in the ideology area. Now, as for these, we will be leaving these empty for the most part. Add weapon pair basically just makes it so we like certain things. Our previous ideology, Ranchism, was this one. We hated anything Neolithic and we loved high tech. I won't be messing with that. Maybe later on, like if we get like a specific kind of weapon that we're favoring, maybe we'll change that, but not right now. As for venerated animal, basically you can just pick an animal and your people really like it if it's in your colony. Again, we won't be touching that, but if we get Thrumbos will be added as venerated animals, but only if we get them. And preferred xenotypes, don't really care for that. And here is what is causing this little warning down here, as you can see, is this. And we will simply remove that because I don't care for those. So, going from the top, this is our ideology. We are the unified commune. We are currently a spiritualist ideology. We're okay with drugs being used, but only medically, meaning that they don't like using recreational drugs, but medical drugs are a-okay. Other than that, we have our Grand Chief as our leader, the Unified Shaman as our moral guide, the Solidarity Eulogy Funeral, Collective Party Sky Lantern Festival, Unified Advent Drum Party to celebrate the new year, and our 3 relics, the Unity Heirloom, Annie Sure, and Chloe. And with that, let's get into our colonists. Now, here is where things are going to get interesting. I am not going to change any of these. I can hit randomize, sure, but that would give us new colonists. No, we have to pick out our 5 people from all of these, which means we need to be somewhat picky. So let's see what we have. So we have Sam, the bush sniper, a 75-year-old man with hearing loss, but he starts with guns, a sniper rifle, and a bolt action, which doesn't really fit. Maybe he joined the tribe long ago and has been protecting it with his 2 guns. But we can't get more ammo for those, so that's a maybe. They're very old, but they have great shooting and are passionate about it. They are very passionate about cooking, and they have high enough animals to tame Thrumbos. They are a careful shooter, so they take longer to aim but are way more accurate. And they're neurotic, which means they work really fast, but will have a mental breakdown sooner. This one is very tempting, despite the fact that it doesn't really match with the concept of us being tribals, but perhaps this person would be our leader, despite their awful social skill. We have White, who is a herder. They don't have as high of animal skill, but they are passionate about it. They're also passionate about shooting, cooking, and artistic. And they have 9 medical, which is good. But they are a psychopath, which means they can't do social. So that one is a maybe. They're also 43 years old. Next up is Billa Bear, age 36, and they are a herder as a child and a stew keeper as an adult. They are greedy, which means they want a really impressive bedroom, the most impressive in all the colony. Not too much of a fan of that, but it can work. They dislike construction, which isn't the best, but we can work with it. They have a decent melee skill, no passion. 11 cooking with a super passion, so they'll level that up quickly. Very important, as we have found. And they aren't the best with plants, but they're very passionate about it. And they have 8 animals, so we can level that up to 10 pretty easy. Next up is Humps, age 54. They are a dromedary knight. They have 8 melee with a passion, 12 animals with a super passion, 8 social with a double passion, and medical 4, so they're not the best, but again, double passion. I think Humps here is most certainly going to join the colony. He is tough, which means that he takes less damage, and he likes to have dogs in the colony, so he can have the horde. I think it's safe to say Humps here will be staying with us. Most certainly. I mean, those skills are just delicious. He can do prisoners, he can be our medic, he can do animals, and he's really good at punching people in the face. And the final of our pre-selected here is Anteater, age 72, with being a gatherer. They are a psychopath gastronomist slob. I don't like that very much. Gastronomist is a good one, less food poisoning chance. They don't have a very high passion for it, though. They have 15 plants, which is really good, and a passion in art. Now, slob does mean they get a little bit dirty, a little bit more dirty, I should say, than everyone else. So not the worst thing, but not too picky. I don't really like it, though, but their skills are pretty good. Having high plants of 15, even without a passion, already makes them great, because remember, the maximum skill is 20, and they're already 15, so they can plant everything quickly. 9 cooking with a small passion allows them to fill in for a cook when needed. They got 6 construction, no passion, but 6 construction is enough to build most things. 7 melee, so they are decently good at punching people in the face. And they aren't as good at shooting as they are punching people, but they are passionate about it. And now that is the original 5 selected. But we still have 3 more that will be left behind should we not pick them. We have Baka, a 42-year-old plant cutter. Very high melee. Quite a fan of that. A passion for cooking, a passion for plants, and a level 14. And passion for animals, even if it is only level 6. So that's pretty good. As for their traits, though, this is where Baka here falls apart. They are sickly, which means they do have higher medical of 5, 4 of those given from the trait, but they get sick more. Not a fan of that, especially early on when we don't have medicine. They are pretty, which means people like to look at them. And here's the one I don't like the most. Slow learner. All skills, even those with passions, will be learned with a minus 75% learning modifier, meaning it will take significantly longer to learn. The level 1 passion here gives a plus 25, meaning that's only down to a minus 50 for the skills in which he's passionate. Not the biggest fan of that, though. But they are the sister of Samantha, or their sister is Samantha. So if we pick Samantha and we pick him, they will be very happy together. Next up is Senbray, a 27-year-old treehouse builder. That is certainly something. Now, they do have an alcohol addiction. We can't make alcohol. So we would need to get them over their alcohol addiction, but they do come with 6 melee, 1 passion, 11 plants, double passion, and 1 passion for art with a skill of 4. Their traits are tough. Again, just like Humps, less damage incoming. They are lush, which means they love booze, which means we can't actually get rid of that. And they are a perfectionist, which means they work slower. So Senbray, I'm sorry, but you are most certainly not coming with us. Now, Crine. I'm already seeing some stats I like. Crine here is 50 years old Weaver. They are 1 passion for melee with a skill of 4, double passion for plants with a skill of 6, 3 skill for animals with a 1 passion, and here's the one that's the best. 12 crafting skill with a critical passion, which means they learn crafting at 300% speed. Which means they're going to become like the best crafter near instantly, should we give them good projects. And they're the sister of Anteater. And their only trait is a night owl. That's not too bad. They don't get a mood penalty from working in the dark. And crafting is a thing that you can do at night. It doesn't matter. Planting can also be done at night too. So both of those can be done at night. and it doesn't really matter all too much. And as we found out, crafting is a skill you almost certainly need to have high skill for. If you want to get good quality weapons and armor, you need high crafting. Crine, you are coming with us. Your sister is Anteater, so you two will get along good and have a nice little mood boost from that. Which means we now need to pick our last two colonists. Now, down here, you can see our general skills and passions, but you'll probably notice it's lacking a few of the quote-unquote less important skills. So out of these deemed important skills, we are lacking mining and intellectual. Both of those are kind of important, but mining doesn't really matter because we are on flat terrain, remember? So we don't need to worry about that. What we need to worry about is intellectual. Now, looking through this, I think we actually already have all of the highest intellectual people, so not a whole lot I can do about that. Now, Billa was a great cook with decent animals, decent plants, potentially, and the double passion for cooking within already they have 11 skill with that, but they're not good at anything else. Whereas Bush, who is currently the cook, has high animals, decent construction, and they are a great shot and will only get better at shooting. Now, the fact they use guns is a bit iffy for me. So not the biggest fan of that. And they do have Baka as their brother. So it would be nice of me to take Baka, but I do believe that if we're lucky, these people might show up later. So I won't be taking Baka, mainly just because of slow learner. That is an awful trait to have. So I think this will be our colonists. We will have Humps with his great melee and super great animals. I mean, that natural passion, 200% learning modifier, awesome. So he's going to be primarily doing animals, medical, and prisoners. So that will be Hump's job. Anteater is going to be a chef, constructor, and plants. Mainly chef, though, because that minus 25 food poisoning chance early game is going to be very important. Crine is going to be the crafter and do plants as well. Plants are very important. We need food. Sam will be doing animals, also cooking, and construction. But that's all Sam can really do. And White, our herder, also does animals. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, do we really need that many people doing animals? I mean, given that last time we really needed people with high animals, I'm tempted to say yes. Also, the nice thing about White is they have 9 medical. So while Humps here does have a natural passion for it, that's only really useful for like small wounds. So White can take care of the larger, like, surgeries until we can get Humps up to level. We'll probably just have White doing intellectual, even though they're not the best at it. They're not going to be doing a whole lot else early game. Maybe do a little bit of mining. So they're not going to be doing too terribly much. And with that, we start the game. And here we are. Our little backstory. And here we are. And that is where we're gonna leave the episode. Right at the start. Which will be next week's episode 1. Will be the actual gameplay. So I hope you all enjoyed assisting me in the making of our new colony and new world. Go ahead, as I said before early on, check out those mods if you can. They are great. Look through the mod list down in the description. Lots of cool stuff there. And if you enjoyed the last series and are hopeful for the next one, go ahead, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, comment down below if you feel like it. And with that, I will see you all in the next episode of Rimworld Ascension Take 2.